Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.
G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to the show. A little while ago, part one of the 1968 Imperial LeBaron's restoration was featured. And now it's time for you to join me for part two in this week's Classic Restos, Back in the Shed. I had to sit at this angle. You couldn't ask for a nicer backdrop in the Fletchy establishment. Is there a nicer rear end than that on any automobile? Beautifully styled, rocket-inspired, laced in chrome, and rich in die-cast. Oh, I'm being swallowed up in automotive emotion once again. Well, moving along. The engine was picked up from Goulbourn Engine Centre, and trust me on this, Kelvin, Andy and the team will look after you. They've got a no BS approach, a quality job, the right price, and above all, ease of dealing, and that's very, very important. And we also remember Andy's laugh from part one, don't we? So it's an exciting time when you get the engine back. For those of you that have done this before, you know very well what's involved. But if you haven't, I hope you enjoy what you're about to see. Painting the engine is, well, the first thing I decided to do, obviously, and that involved removing all the masking tape around different parts of the engine and switches and goodness knows what. Also the little necks for where the hoses go on, you know, you mask all them up before you paint. And then after that, the painting process went very, very well, and had a few coats of that engine enamel, which went on really nicely. Did a couple of light dusty coats first, and then a couple of more thicker colours, layers after that. Next was the fitting of the exhaust manifolds, and they went on nice and easily, no problems there. Little things like the temperature switches, hose posts, again referring back to those and installing those, the ones that were left out, fitting of the fuel pump, and then you know, you can really start and see your engine come together, which is an exciting time. The fitting of the torque converter, that was sent away and it was opened up and reconditioned. And actually, would you believe, it didn't even need doing, but they said, Fletch, we did it for you anyway. I said, thanks for that. But they did a great job. At least I got peace of mind, and I know that the torque converter is great. So fitting that, a few clicks, you can feel it click onto the input shaft and positioning of the torque converter. And you can see I put blankets everywhere around the inner skirts and all that sort of thing too when I'm working on the car as well. Because you know, when you're going to lift an engine in, if something catastrophic happens and the thing falls, well, you just want to hope that the blankets can save some stuff. So the engine got to the stage where it was ready to be lifted in. I'm proud to say I did all that on my own. You learn to improvise when you're a little bit independent, you're working away here in the shed, you just learn how to do things on your own, and the engine went in pretty well. Bit of lining up to do around the dowels at the back, but once that was all positioned, it all clicked in and it was beautiful. And once the engine's lifted in, little things, you know, like getting underneath then and fitting the transmission cover plate, and you know, you've got your engine mounts to do up, get your exhausts to do up, the manifolds around the flanges where the engine pipe comes up, stuff like that. There's always a series of stuff to do, you know, like fitting the voltage regulator up on the passenger side, inner skirt. And then comes the wiring harness around the engine bay. I think that's a definite sign of life. I think when you get to that stage, when you start lacing the harness across the top of the engine, and because the old wiring has a memory, so the wires they're bent in position, so they line up pretty well. It's not a case of what wire goes where. You know, once you lay it on top of the engine, it all falls into place and everything goes back together really nicely. Time for the radiator to go in. Of course, that was fully reconditioned and new core. With tanks and what have you. Oh, actually, they're the original tanks, that's right, because the Chrysler Pentastar emblem, I wanted that kept on the top tank. So, original radiator, just totally redone. Alternator went on, easy process to put that on. And we get back to this top hose. when we found the car and got it home here, absolutely jammed with solidified coolant. Just unbelievable. You tapped it on the floor and just watched all that come out. It was just amazing. It's obviously, no wonder the engine cooked. You know, it just starved itself, died of thirst, basically. And time now for the oil to go into the engine. Well, there's no oil sponsor on classic Restos, so that's a shame because you would have got a great plug around about this point. And then Andy turns up to fit the Dizzy. Now, it's always a delight to see Andy turn up. He's got about an hour and 20 minutes drive to come to here, and it's always a pleasure to see him come down the driveway. And he fitted the Dizzy, and we did the ignition leads. The original engine had some old chewed ones from some rodents in Ohio, so obviously they had to be replaced. When Andy came along, he brought a camera to go down into the fuel tank neck, and that was really interesting because this has got a new fuel tank in it. So an absolute bonus. And I checked with Murray as well, and yeah, sure enough, it had a new tank fitted. So I don't know how that went timing with the story, like engine sees, then you put a new fuel tank in, or do you put a new fuel tank in, then you neglect the engine and it seizes. I don't know, I can't work all that stuff out. But anyway, it's got a brand new fuel tank in it, and a telltale giveaway was that the filler neck to the tank was like brand new. So that's a definite bonus with this car. Next was to get the oil pressure up on the engine, and Andy did a piece to camera to tell us about that.
We're back at Fletcher's today. Basically speaking, it's been about 4 months since we was here last. Wound up oil pressure and made sure that the gauge is reading properly. All the electricals all sorted. We've slipped the Dizzy in and initially give it a quick time. Basically, so it should be all easily fired up straight away and to run the cam in. Done all the fire in order. Basically speaking, she should just fire up and go, go, go.
I spend a lot of time out here. The RT Charger's the real deal, an E49. Remember A-Charger? I've always got projects on the go, so Shannon's laid-up cover helps protect my restorations. I'm Mopar through and through. It's a passion Shannon's understands. I wouldn't insure my cars and bikes with anyone else.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network.
Righto, now after pulling the engine apart and seeing what kind of condition the inside of the cooling system is on the car, Fletch has shown me this now that at his place And basically speaking, I cannot believe the condition of this thermostat housing, how choked up and blocked it is with corrosion, that inside the block was so clean and neat and tidy. Never seen anything like it.
And the rotted thermostat housing still gets a mention. I think that's been one of the biggest highlights on finding out the history of the car. Wow. Brand new carby went on, brand new 750 Holly was installed. That's one thing I like to do on my cars. I'm not into rebuilding carbies. Over the years I've had 2 rebuilt carbs and they've both let me down on the side of the road and had to get a tilt bed home. So a little bit of lesson learnt there. So brand new carbies out of the box, bolt them on. I'm a big believer in that. And of course the brakes, well, they've got to be done. I mean, they were sitting around for years and none of that worked. So removing of the brake calipers was interesting. The size of these calipers, a 2-piston caliper too for 1968. I mean, these are a fantastic size caliper today, let alone back in '68. They were way ahead of their time. Now I've got to give credit to Justin at Halray Brakes in Lismore, and Justin does a great job up there as an independent, doing specialised braking with bits and pieces and reconditioning of brakes. And a guy in Sydney referred me to him, and I sent the calipers up there, and this was just before the floods. And Jason rang me and just said, Fletch, he said, these calipers are enormous. They can hardly fit on our jigs up here. So he managed to recondition those calipers for me before the floods hit, which was catastrophic for them. And you know, he got that job done, which was just so greatly appreciated. So those calipers are back and are about to be put back onto the car. Little things too with old cars, you know, things have to work on the inside, like door glass. You know, you've got to make sure your power windows work. It's no good having a car with a reconditioned engine, but the accessories don't work. The door glass in every door, the trims were taken off every door in this car. The power motors were sent away to Donnie down at Lee and Thomas in Goulbourn for reconditioning. He did a great job on those for me. And also every door's got a solenoid in it as well for the central locking, so they got sent away as well. So I wanted to make sure to have peace of mind. Every solenoid worked, every power motor worked, and even in the driver's door for the quarter glass, you've got a power motor as well, and they were just so over-engineered. Look at the size of that. That's almost the size of a starter motor out of a Hyundai. And it weighs, it's a considerable amount of weight too. It'd be a good couple of kilos in that. All die cast on top, steel body, and that's just to move a quarter glass. Incredible, and that sits in the door as well. Look at the size of the thing. So, made sure they were working as well. Of course, having a battery nearby and doing a bit of a test to watch the glass go up and down. Now that to me is exciting, because when things start working on the car, it's the first signs of life. It's like as though, you know, the thing's communicating with you. That's what I feel there. So to touch the wires on and see the glass go up and down, that was a happy occasion for me in the shed. That was. Also, when all the doors went back together, the waterproof plastic in behind the door card. Very important that. If you put that on your restored vehicles, that's a good thing that you've done. It's all designed for water to hit that, run into the bottom slot of the door frame and run out and protect your masonite or your MDF door card, whatever it's made out of, from moisture. I did something, I don't know, maybe a little bit obscure, but nothing to do with ego or anything or what I do for a job, but I just wanted to put a little bit of me in the car. So I wrote inside the offside rear door card that restored by Fletch and the year. And I don't know what that's going to mean to anybody, but you never know, one day that might be found, and a bit of computer research, they might find out who I am when the car was done. So that could be interesting to someone. These door cards on this car too are a bit of a work of art too. They're in two pieces. You've got an upper and a lower section. And again, the quality in this LeBaron is just incredible as well. The pull door handle up on the door card, obviously two big screws to the framework of the door, solid chrome, and they're heavy as well. They're spring loaded, and you can just feel, as soon as you wrap your hand around and pull that handle, you can just feel the quality. It's just an incredibly well-built car. Most of these American cars are well built, but this Imperial is everything that Murray said. He said, Fletch, the amount of steel in these cars it's like no other. And it's not until you start working on them and getting underneath them, in and around them, where you start finding this steel. And yeah, it's all there. That is for sure.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them Woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride.
If you own a classic, you might have a little truck like this. It just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646? And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you with their own in-house productions such as Shannons Club TV, Legends of Motorsport, Driven, End of an Era. You can catch classic Restos there as well, along with a host of other really cool content as Australia's largest automotive online hub. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. A little bit of automotive anxiety cuts in now because this is the day of the start. The roller door comes up and there it sits. How will this go? It's a good thing that Andy came up, and what better recipe is there? The guy that builds your engine is there to bed the cam in on the initial start.
Righto, so the system's all dry, so basically speaking we're just going to put water in it. I don't recommend us running the coolant directly straight in it for initial startup. It's not recommended. The heat gaskets tend to take a bite better with water in it, and coolant can go in once we've run the engine in and bedded the cam.
Now, I don't know about you, but I just always find the initial start a little bit stressful. Sitting at 2,000 RPM for 15 minutes, will the thing overheat? Well, you don't know what it's going to do.
Now we're going to fire the big girl up, and today's the day. It's going to be all systems go, and we'll take some of Fletch's stress away by getting the old girl to sing.
I would have liked to have tipped some fuel down the carby. I hate grinding away on the starter. To me, it just loads up the system, you know, it heats the starter and your wiring and goodness knows what.
Everything's dry as far as the fuel system goes. We have the brand new carburetor on it, no fuel lines primed or anything. So we've got 40 litres of brand new 98 in the tank. Hopefully that'll be enough to run the big girl in. Bit of a gas guzzler.
So respecting Andy's thoughts, I wound it until the fuel came through from the tank, which is a long way. It's a long way, it's a couple hundred feet. That's how far the fuel tank is at the back of the car. It feels like a couple hundred feet. And again, I don't know why, but while you're cranking it, there's this level of anxiety, a little bit of, you know, pre-start stress. And but anyway, but look, no skiting here, but I was just so damn proud of the hard work prior. and reflecting the time that I spent, the attention to detail throughout the process, and it was a nice reward to hear that 440 Magnum start for the first time. The car had come to life and it was music to my ears. So it's running like a freight train. Then after about a few minutes in, the revs died a little, and then all this misfiring took place. And I thought straight away, that's distributor.
On the initial startup, she's run like a Trojan, but after 2 or 3 minutes of running, she started missing and farting and carrying on like someone possessed. This is actually a brand new reconditioned distributor, and all the parts are new, the rotor button's new, everything's new, but we've obviously got some sort of an issue here.
So we took the cap off the Dizzy, and would you believe there was a broken rotor button? You wouldn't credit that. And I also, talking about you wouldn't credit it, luckily I had another rotor button in stock here in the shed. Put that in and away it went. So the car's got no brakes, but I can't help myself. I've got a sloping driveway at the front of the shed, so if it goes out of there, it can't go up the hill. And I put a couple of tyres on the floor here, so when it rolls back, it hits them and can't keep on going and demolish and take the walls out of the shed behind it. But just to start the car and just take the thing 4 metres forward, grab reverse and then go back. The little things that excite us, hey? But just to drive this car at this stage, to hear it running, the automatic transmission works beautifully in terms of grabbing its gears straight away, the old torque flight. I did have the back wheels up off the ground and ran that through, and yeah, it went through first, second and third, so you know, I know basically the box works nicely, but it gets its gears straight away, and I can say I've already had my first drive, you know, what, a distance of about 6 metres. Hey, it worked. How fantastic was that, Andy?
Absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe that it all worked so well.
See, it's right for a bloke like you. You're around this environment 5 days a week. Someone, myself, well, we may only do this a handful of times in your car hobby life. To get an engine from scratch, to run it at 2,000 revs for 15 minutes, if it's going to leak or if something's going to go wrong, it's always on the back of your mind. But this was flawless today. I think having you here reduced the stress.
Well, that's what we're here for, Fletch, to reduce the stress.
Yeah.
Give you a product that's always going to be stress-free and to make it right.
Now, Andy, on that note, I want to thank you so much for your time today. You've had a day off, you've driven quite a fair distance to be here today. Mate, beyond speech, thank you very much for your passion, your effort, the workmanship and the trouble that you've gone to. Also, Kelvin, the owner of Goulbourn Engine Centre, and all the team down there. Throughout last year, my visits there were most enjoyable, filming the process of you building this beloved 440. It's been great, mate, and I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Fletch. I appreciate it, mate. It's been absolutely our pleasure. Can't be more fun for us all.
Good on you, buddy. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.